We're asking that question again. What is a novel? Or what should a novel be? A novel should be interesting. It should be engaging. You are combining two elements here. You have talent and you also have perseverance. Both are equally as important. Your ability to create comes from the talent, but your ability to write and rewrite and keep the reader engaged, that comes from your perseverance. So a novel, by definition, is a long fictional narrative that it typically explores characters, settings, and events in a structured way. It's usually written in prose and can belong to various genres: mystery, romance, science fiction, fantasy, historical fiction. Unlike short stories, which are brief and focused, novels allow for in-depth character development and more complex plots. And a novelist must almost be very good at describing and almost promoting their novels, since when the production phase finishes, you go to publicity. And I have two books right now, books 4 and 5, that have just finished production and are going now to publicity to be released in June. That is when the publicity department will engage your marketing side, your ability to promote your baby, your product. So, as an example, as a case study, let's take a look at Alexandre Dumas, a favorite of mine amongst the classics. He was born in 1802 in France, and that is why his novels are so interesting, because the form of the novel has not changed from that time to now. And why hasn't it? It's because this is a successful formula. It is what the reader expects a novel to be. So he was the son of Thomas Alexandre Dumas, a general in the French Revolutionary Army, and Marie-Louise Labouré. His father was known as the Black Count. He was of mixed African and French ancestry, the son of a French nobleman and an enslaved woman from Saint Dominique, which is modern-day Haiti. Despite his noble heritage, Dumas's father fell out of favor with Napoleon, leaving the family in financial difficulties after his death in 1806. The young Dumas moved to Paris in 1820, where he initially worked as a scribe for the Duke of Orleans, later would become King Louis Philippe. And this inspired a love for literature. He began writing plays and found early success in his play Henry III and His Count, and another play in 1830 called Christine. These historical dramas established his reputation in literary circles. Dumas soon turned to writing full novels, often collaborating with Auguste Marquette, a historian who helped him outline plots. And these plots blended historical events with swashbuckling action. And it was Marquette's influence that is felt strongly throughout the novels, because Dumas wanted them to be historically accurate. Three Musketeers came out 1844, has been made into several films. It's a historical adventure about D'Artagnan and his companions, Athos, Porthos, and Aramis. They navigate political intrigue in 17th century France, and a very much coming of age following the growth of the character D'Artagnan from naive and in his early phase to becoming an experienced musketeer. The Count of Monte Cristo in 1844, this was another very good novel, a sweeping tale of betrayal and revenge and redemption, and it was based on largely true and real events. There was another novel 20 years after, 1845. It was a sequel to The Three Musketeers. The Black Tulip in 1850, a historical novel set in the Netherlands. Queen Margot and the 45 Guardsmen and the Lady of Montsoreau. They were part of a series. And Dumas's writing style, what appeal did it have? It was highly engaging, full of action, romance, historical detail, making his works immensely popular at that time and still to this day. Despite his literary success, Dumas lived a very extravagant life that pushed his finances to an extreme and led to trouble and debts, which forced him to sell most of what he had. In 1860, he moved abroad to Belgium, Italy, and Russia. Dumas died December 5th, 1870 in France at the age of 68. And his legacy is immense. His works have been translated into countless languages and adapted into, as I mentioned, numerous films. A quote of his, of course, the famous quote, which I can't ignore, one of loyalty and unity, that is still used today, and I'm not always sure everybody understands where it originated from. But all for one and one for all. So let's take a look again at this question. What is a novel? It has plot, a sequence of events in a story, and that sequence is structured with exposition, including introduction to settings, character, and conflict. It has rising action, events leading up to a climax. It has the climax, which is the intense and the turning point of the story. It also has falling action, events that resolve the conflict, and resolution, where the story concludes, tying up all loose ends. The characters, they drive the story, and these characters include the protagonist, which is the main character, often the hero. The antagonist, which is the character or force which is opposing the protagonist. And we have supporting characters, which are friends, mentors, and side characters that add to the depth. The setting, the time and place where a story takes place, and that includes a geographical location, a city, country, a planet, as examples. A time period, so this could be past, present, or future. And we have a social environment, which is cultural, political, or historical context. The conflict, the central struggle that drives the plot. It could be an internal conflict, character versus self, for example. It could be an external conflict, which is a character versus a character, or society, or nature, or fate, or technology. What about the point of view, the perspective from which the story is told? It could be first person, I or we. It could be second person, which is you. It could be third person limited, which is the narrator knows thoughts of one character. Or it could be third person omniscient, which is that the narrator knows all of the character's thoughts. The theme is the underlying message or central idea of the novel. So is that love? Is it revenge? Is it identity or power? The tone and mood. So the tone is the author's attitude towards a subject, whether that be serious, humorous, or sarcastic. And the mood, the emotional atmosphere felt by the reader, and that could be suspenseful, romantic, eerie, good examples. Style and language, the author's unique way of writing, and this is seen through word choice, sentence structure, which is the syntax, and the use of literary devices such as metaphors, similes, symbolism, and foreshadowing. So the novel is an amazing thing when you think about it, because shortly after opening the book and beginning to read, you enter into the mind of another. Thank you for joining me today. I hope this video has been helpful, and I will see you on the next one. Otherwise, bye for now.